Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Play Along Journal series. This is a series where I am working through 2 handmade art journals beginning to end and taking you along for every step of the process so that you can see how I work in my art journals. First off, today I want to start with a little announcement. Things are going to be changing a little bit with how I put the Play Along Journal videos out there. So far, I've been posting 2 videos per week, one on Tuesdays and one on Fridays. Going forward, I'm going to combine those into one video, which will be released on Fridays. Unless the video is too long that it needs to be separated into multiple parts. My main reason for doing this is that will allow me to post other fun things for you guys. So I have quite a few other videos that I would really like to share with you, but I don't want to post too many videos per week. And so I think with this journal series, it will be great to combine them just into one day. So be on the lookout for that change. If you don't see the video on Tuesday, that is because it will be coming out in one longer video on Fridays. All right, so I'm starting out my page here. I started out with some scribbles on the page, and my main reasoning for this is it was too blank. And for me, a blank page can be quite intimidating, and so getting something down on paper I find really helpful. So scribble seems to be a really easy thing. The act of scribbling actually really loosens up your minds. It loosens up your hands. So it's a really good tool. Anytime that I kind of get stuck in my art journal, that's what I turn to, and it really helps me to loosen things up and be more organic with my movements. All right, so on the left side here, as you can see, it's kind of a smaller page. So sometimes when it's a smaller page than the page that's behind it, I like to outline it somehow. I think it helps it stand out from the other page a little bit more. And I like to outline it with a black China marker. As you can see, it doesn't make a huge difference, but it's enough that it just stands out a little bit. And then I took a circle cutout and put that on the left side. But instead of trying to fit the whole circle on the page, I really like to go half off of the page or kind of catty corner askew a little bit. I feel like it makes things a little bit more unexpected, and I don't like to contain things onto the page, so I like the look of it when it kind of flows off. I'm adding in some black gesso on the right side. I'm using a little silicone art brush. I really enjoy using black gesso instead of black paint a lot of the times, and that's for a couple of reasons. I really like how opaque black gesso is. It is a deep black. You can't see through it in any way. And the other part is it dries relatively quickly on its own. So I did help it along with the heat gun there. But overall, you can make marks and it will be dry pretty quickly. I know that I want to add something kind of bold and white on top of that black. And so I'm just playing around. I think one of these large numbers will do the trick. If you haven't checked it out yet, I just put out a brand new class and it's completely free. So make sure to check that link down in the description below. It's a fringe flip book. And if you're liking this series, I think you'll really love that. I show you how to make a little flip book, and it is highly texturized with little fabric bits and things on the cover. And I show you a new binding method as well that you can use in that journal and other journals going forward. Kind of taking a step back and figuring out placement, trying to decide if it needs something behind it before I get started or if I just put that number directly on the page. I feel like it's good to kind of audition different things and think about how you want things to look. Overall, I'm okay with this page being pretty simple. but I like the bold contrast of the harsh black and the pure white together. And so I'm just trying to decide how that's going to be the biggest impact. So I brought out my white correction pen and did some bold white lines on the black gesso part. And that pen is one of my favorite mark making supplies. It marks over almost anything, and it's kind of a texturized look to it if you were to run your fingers over it when it's done. I really like the effects that it gives you. I wanted to add just a tiny bit of color onto this page. Nothing extreme. I don't want it to take away from the contrast of the black and white. So I brought out an oil pastel and just kind of used it to smudge around in the background, and it adds just a tiny bit of color onto the page, and it coordinates really well with what's going on behind on the left side, and then also that tab that's sticking out on the right side. I think it just does a nice job of tying everything together. I'm going to play around with where I want this number sticker to go down before I completely press it down, kind of just playing around with the placement and getting it exactly where I want it to go. I have a little rip towards the top there, and so I'm trying to see if I can make that look any better. And so I just kind of tucked one end under the other so it looked more like where it naturally ripped. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can still tell it's there. It doesn't bother me that it's there, but I wanted it to look as seamless as possible. I want that number to stand out and be even more bold. And so I'm taking that fluid correction pen and just tracing around the outside of that number. I don't think you can really see on camera the different effects that it gives, but in person I do like that it kind of just raises the border of that number a little bit. And I made a few little art marks even where that rip was on the paper, and so it looked purposeful rather than something that was a mistake. So often when things don't go as planned, my favorite way is to almost accentuate it and to make it look like it was a purposeful design choice. I'm trying to decide if anything else needs to be done on this paper. I'm adding a few little white marks on the left side, but I don't want to go too crazy. I'm happy with the way that this is looking, and sometimes the best thing that we can do is stop while we're ahead. So be okay with leaving things a little bit more simple, and sometimes it has a bigger impact than if we were to keep adding things. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this spread, and I hope that you're excited for next week's video when I combine them into one video, and I'm going to try to put out something extra special for you guys, a different tutorial next week as well. So keep an eye out for that. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.